In this Path of Exile 2 video, I bring you a complete guide on how to beat the Act 2 main boss of Jamanra, the Abomination. How's it going, guys? My name is DPJ. Now, do you guys want to win 300 points? Well, if you do, it's as simple as this. Drop a like on this video, leave me a comment down below, and make sure you are subbed with those notifications turned on. I will pick a winner from the comment section and announce them on tomorrow's video, so good luck everybody. So where do we even start with this boss? Now, I won't lie, I was enjoying the bosses thrown my way before coming to this dude. Not to say that this dude is too hard, but the fight itself just feels lazy. He's just a big old HP slug with random one-hit attacks, which just make the process of fighting him more like a chore than something fun, which it should be. I also feel for those melee builds, those melee classes out there. I'd imagine this is going to be twice as hard for you fighting this dude. Now, a few tips on how to beat this guy and survive longer. I mean, I defeated him on like my third or fourth try, but obviously slotting in as much of that lightning resistance as you can get. I believe upon me fighting him, I was around that 40% mark. Also, ranged attacks really help. But again, as I said in my previous Act 1 boss Geno video guide, there's so many different builds out there people are going for. I can't really help with your damage output unless you play exactly as I do on a witch concentrating on range. I can only tell you what worked best for me, and that was that range. Now, getting close to this dude, especially in his second phase, I'd imagine would be an utter nightmare with everything that's going on, and it is one utter mess. And yes, I'm stating this for the many people here struggling and yet to get to this dude, or are struggling on this dude. I know there are many broken builds out there, but not everybody has access to playing this game 15 hours a day to build such a build this early in the game's release. Now, the recording of me beating him you've seen in the background. It is a sloppy one. I went into the second phase of this fight and I beat him first time, not knowing exactly what he was going to do next. But from the other videos I have seen, I'm pretty certain that most of his attacks come in a random sequence. So the fight itself is a mishmash of lightning attacks, gale force winds that will blow your socks off and not in a good way, and his attacks, like I said, seem to come in a random order, but it could be related to damage too. So as you start this fight, the first few seconds you have an open window to prepare any debuffs you may be able to apply to him. Now, his first line of attacks are mainly a lightning spear, which he throws at you every few seconds, and this can last a good half a minute at a time. This, however, might be due to the range between you and the boss, but a well-timed dodge in sync with him throwing that spear will be more than enough for you to dodge it and then lay down your own damage. Now, pretty quickly he will put out 2 lightning rods, which can result in a few different attacks from this boss. Now, these do seem like they are tied to audio cues, but those audio cues seem to be random. But whenever you see him shouting something out, it's probably a good time to try and get behind him. That's exactly what I did. Whenever these lightning rods were placed on the arena floor, I got behind him. Now, his first attack he does here is quite devastating, where he just lets off an explosion in front of him. Again, getting behind him avoids this completely. He will then shortly after this throw a lightning spear at you a few more times, normally bringing out a new move with those lightning rods where he uses that center circle parameter. You'll notice that there's one rod in the inner circle and one rod in the outer circle, and they kind of do like a spinning motion. Now, these ain't a deadly hit, but they do hurt, so staying outside of that circle will be enough for you to avoid these. And at this point, and at any point in which you know you are safe from these attacks, you should be laying that damage into the boss. Now, his next attack using these rods is another devastating one. Here for me, the audio cue normally was we have the storm, and then he would use this. He here fires out those rods in front of him and then fires out lightning out of his hands, where he does like a sweeping motion of the entire front area he's facing off to the sides. Again, guys, here get behind him and you will avoid this, but this attack can be devastating. So if you see those 2 rods go out flying in front of him and you see him raise his hands, he's going to shoot lightning out of his hands and do like a sweeping motion both left and right, so get behind him, guys, to avoid this. Now, his next major attack, which can one-shot you, is signalled normally by him saying the doom of the desert. Here he brings in those wild winds, which if you don't know what you are doing here, you will insta-die. Here guys, you need to look for your ally in the field who's putting up a force field which protects you from these winds. Now within this field of safety spawns in those skeleton crawlers. So as soon as you're in that force field guys, these skeleton crawlers will spawn upon you. Here you want to prepare whatever you have for ad clearing, as these little bastards can hit pretty hard. Now his other attack using those lightning rods always for me came after that wind mechanic, and it's by far the most annoying. He spawns in those two rods which seemingly chain together, crossing over with each other, chasing you and trying to trap you. Here guys, dodging in a quick circle around the boss was more than enough for me to avoid these, which I will say this mechanic didn't last too long either. He then guys from this point repeats the same mechanics over and over in a random order until you get him down into his second phase, which happens around when you get about a third of his health off. Now once you are in that second phase and it opens up, you may notice his health starts to regen slowly. I don't know if this is meant to be or if it's something that happens until you attack him, that I cannot confirm. So his second phase is just a mess of mechanics. You will first notice two whirlwinds flying around the arena, which can be annoying. Also within this phase guys, it doesn't have those rods anymore, but now seemingly spawns in those rocks, chaining lightning between them. And there seemingly can be upwards of 4 on the field at the same time, all chaining that lightning between them. So you want to avoid these. Now they ain't hard to avoid because they are stationary, but they also give you a smaller area to move around in, which is annoying. He will also guys throw a random spear at you which can cause a small explosion. He wasn't doing this very often to me, but it does happen. Another attack he will do here is when he says Forge of Hate. He slams down like a massive fiery sword directly in front of him. Now there are a few seconds here to get out of his way, although he did hit me a few times with this, the first time mainly, and it didn't seem to hurt too much, but that could be due to resistances on my character and my shield and so forth. So yeah, keep that in mind, don't get hit by this. He also does another attack where he pulls out that spear and will do a 360 like spinning swipe attack with it, covering a lot of the arena. This one comes out unexpectedly, and when you got so much shit going on, it's kind of hard to see. It won't one hit you, but it will definitely finish you off if you've taken damage elsewhere. So yes guys, you want to try your best to avoid this one, but like I said, because it's just a mishmash of shit going down here, it's kind of hard to see. So try and keep an eye out for it. He then starts mixing things up, bringing out multiple attacks at the same time, those rocks, chain and electricity, the whirlwinds, his 360 spear attack, and a few others. Now once you know what you're doing and what to look out for, just lay down that damage upon you avoiding these attacks. For me, soon enough though, he added another attack into the mix where he would say 10,000 spears, where spears would spawn behind him or sometimes above him and come crashing down onto the field. Normally if I was standing away from him facing him guys, he'd spawn them at me so I could get to the side of them, but if I was next to the boss, they normally come from above, coming all around and filling the area around him. So here guys, just dodge off to the side and you should be good. But this attack for me when I fought him was followed by a lightning projectile attack shooting down from the sky and spawning in lightning orbs that would seemingly come towards you. Again guys, dodge out the way of these, they don't chase you, just as soon as they hit the floor they seemingly come in your direction. So dodging to the side should be enough for you to get out of the way of these things. Now the thing is here with this boss in phase 2, at random points he will do a lot of these attacks at once. If this happens to you guys, I wouldn't risk trying to attack him, just avoid these attacks until some despawn, which they will eventually. Another attack he starts to do, I believe when you get his health down to about a third left, he will open up a fiery portal where he will constantly fire projectiles out of it in a single general direction. To be honest, this was the least of my worries at this point because what quickly followed was a second portal which did the exact same, cutting off most of the arena for me to escape into to avoid his attacks. What I will say is dodging through these projectiles is enough to see you pass through them unhurt, but how they normally spawned in for me was one would spawn top right, one would spawn top left, and it would form like a cross of projectiles in the middle of the arena. I was just staying top middle away from these attacks, which made it a lot easier. But then you got to think about the boss coming towards you, combining other attacks too, which he will add in the whirlwinds as furthermore you get his health down, and again guys, he will also come towards you with those spear attacks. But yes, if you can avoid such and just trickle his health down, slowly because it seems the best way to defeat him. You should be good here. But yes guys, this boss fight was completely unfun. It was a drawn out mess which I know will piss many players off. But hopefully knowing his mechanics in full will help you out. I actually think the second phase, as mad as it does seem, is probably easier than the first phase because his attacks are all general. There's nothing seemingly here that would want to hit you. But again, that's more dependent on your build and your survivability on it. But avoid all at all costs. That's how I do things anyway. But yes guys, I hope this video does indeed help you out. If it does, leaving a like really helps me out. If you like what you see and want to see more, be sure to subscribe, and hopefully guys, I will see you on that next one.